All right.
Okay, everybody, we're here with Rusty Hoover. We're among the stones. So for everybody who doesn't know who you are, go ahead and tell us about yourself.
Rusty Hoover, kind of new to the arm lifting, I guess, world. Started back in November when Jay Ripley hosted a competition, and I came in third at that one, and it's been addiction ever since. So,
Right on. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So did you have a strength background before you got into grip?
I hadn't. I actually work in manufacturing, making books, and talked to Jay because he's my tattoo artist. He's like, "What you're doing, you probably have tremendous grip. You should try this out." And I listened to him for about 2, 3 years, and then I finally got into it this past year, and I'm enjoying it so far.
Nice. Is that who you're training with mostly?
Mostly, I work out with him, and then met a man named Chad Clark down out of Roanoke, Virginia,
Yeah.
and he's big on pretty much every weightlifting scene, it seems like. So
Yeah, I
he's
think
giving me a
everybody knows
few
Chad
pointers.
Clark. He was there at the Arnold Classic. So
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, he's been a big help in getting me caught up and keeping me focused on what I need to work on.
Yeah, that's cool. I think you're going to do really well with that team.
Yeah, he's kind of put together a little bit of a Roanoke groups team and included Jay and myself and a couple others around Harrisonburg. And he definitely gets us motivated and keeps us up to date on all events.
That's awesome, man. So what made you get into, like, what motivated you to start doing it, getting into grip?
Mainly Jay.
Yeah.
He's been a good friend for about the last 10 years or more. And like I said, try to get me involved. And then I finally said yes when he was hosting an event. And I didn't expect the place. So
Yeah,
went and got
third. That's
changed.
pretty darn good, man. How many people were there?
For the 100 kilogram, which I was in at that time, we had 5 guys competing.
So not bad.
Yeah,
that's pretty
most
cool.
of them had been lifting for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool. How long has Jay been in the grip?
Oh, I'd say probably about 7 years now, maybe.
Okay, yeah.
I might be wrong, but
he should be getting pretty darn strong at it at this point. Yeah.
I mean, he is he's for his size, he's incredible. And even with, if he were bigger, he's competing with guys that size. So
yeah, I saw his golden potato pull-ups. That was pretty ridiculous.
oh yeah, I think he's going to attempt the dead hang soon.
Yeah.
So he wants that record.
He might get a minute on it. He might be the first guy to get a minute. That'd be cool.
We were just talking about it earlier. He was wanting to know the time. Probably be a while before I get a minute, but I'm going to attempt it.
Yeah, the potatoes are tough, man. They are a really tough grip tool. Yeah, I didn't realize how tough they were until we really got them out there to everybody and realized the limitations on them. It's incredible. And to think about, like, I don't know, a couple of the lifts are just unbelievable. Like the one arm pull-ups and freaking Jason Dingy doing a 334-pound pull-up. And then Joel Dirks' lift at 240 pounds or 239 pounds. That's so far above everybody else. It's just incredible.
Well, now they're out there. I think that a lot of people are going to start attempting some of these challenges, and it's going to keep it interesting, and we're just going to keep setting the bar higher and higher.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see for sure. It's been fun. We've gotten, I think 160. You'll be the 163rd set.
Nice.
So yeah,
I look forward to it.
Quite a number of sets out there.
Yeah, we've been talking about it in the group, the Roanoke group, and a lot of guys are looking forward to using them. And with Jay doing his, I know he had Chad there pushing him, and I can't wait till I get my chance to do it too.
Heck yeah! What record are you looking at going for? So you said the dead hang. Any other ones really interesting you?
I hadn't looked at too many. Kind of want to get them and play around with them first, see where my strengths are, and build on them from there. Getting into it, the Saxon was always my interest because it's such a different barbell to be used. So that's one that I'm focusing on now. And once I get to potatoes, I plan on building from there with them as well.
Yeah, we want to get some people doing more pinch lifts with the potatoes, so that would be pretty cool to see.
Yeah, that's my specialty. So
Nice. So I know you haven't been in the sport too long, but what do you consider your or any athletic achievement? What do you consider your best athletic achievement in your life?
Uh, I'd have to say lifting 150 recently on the Saxon bar. That was something that until recently I thought I'd never do. Um, like I said, when I saw it back in November and got my first time to get my hands on one, I was like, all right, this thing, you expect your numbers to be a lot higher, and then you get 120 on the bar, and you're like, okay, it's starting to slip and feel a lot heavier. So the Saxon lifting 150 with it was, I think, was my biggest achievement so far. And I just look to keep building and building. I can't wait till I get 200 with it.
Yeah, I was gonna say it won't be that long before you hit 200. A couple years probably, man. It goes pretty quick.
Yep.
Yeah, I finally hit 200 on the 2-inch Saxon bar not too long ago. That was my goal for last year, was to hit 200 on that and 300 on the axle, and I got both those. So I was pretty stoked about that. Haven't maxed on anything in a long time. I'm focused on the grippers, but yeah, that bar, 150 pounds on the Saxon bar is a tough lift.
Yeah, for getting into everything with the sport, there's just so many different implements to be used and different techniques as far as using grippers to train and closing them. And uh, it's definitely a world I thought was very small, and it's getting very immersed very quickly.
Yeah, I think the pandemic helped a lot with that. It was, what sport can I do in a very small section of my house? You
It's
know,
definitely growing. Yeah,
for
uh,
sure. Absolutely.
it's probably the first thing I've done other than baseball, at least for my kids. That's how I got into staying active, was for my kids. But uh, the gripping and arm lifting, it's the first thing I've done since COVID. So
That's cool. Absolutely. Yeah, we got into it because of the everything shutting down and us having nothing to be able to do during the COVID. So we built our little home gym and decided grip sport would be the way to go.
and I think that's happened with a lot of people. At least with our small community we built, it looks like the uh, home gym has definitely exploded, and looking into different things that they can do at home, especially arm lifting. So
Absolutely. I like it because you can get started for pretty darn cheap in grip sport, pinch blocks and rolling handles. They aren't too much. You look at the like getting into powerlifting or just setting up like a traditional home gym, and boy, that equipment got super expensive. But the grip stuff, stayed fairly reasonable. Because it's kind of like a tight, small community. You can't really ramp up the prices too much.
yeah, I mean, spreading it out here and there. Started with a loading pin and Iron Mind
Mhm.
Hub and Rolling Thunder,
Yep.
and just kind of grew from there.
I like that it's pretty safe for the older people, because I'm going to be in my 40s in a couple of years, and honestly I don't want to be doing powerlifting or strongman. That's ridiculous.
That's one thing that Chad tells us all the time, is that the age is going to creep up on us. So we take advantage of it while we can.
Exactly. So on the opposite end of the spectrum, what's your greatest blunder or injury you've had thus far?
I would say back in February, and I'm still recovering from it. I was training Rolling Thunder and ended up spraining my wrist.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
it started off mild and went to a competition in Martinsburg. Uh, Decided just to use my left because the right wasn't feeling it, and ended up spraining it even worse during the competition. So,
Oh,
yep. So still
yeah, that's
recovering
rough.
and hoping it'll be back to 100% before the end of this month.
Yeah, it's one of the toughest things about grip, is that one aspect of your grip can get stronger than the other, and then you find out, oh, my wrist isn't up to my finger strength yet, or somewhere in that token. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
the
So
inch
the
dumbbell
Rolling
really
Thunder,
puts you in place when you start trying to figure out if you have an all around grip.
that is the next thing we're planning on trying, is the inch dumbbell.
Yeah.
We got a friend of ours that's ordered one, and I think we're all anxious to play with it.
That's going to be a hoot, man. Having one of those things is a blast. I've only seen ours has only been lifted by a couple people around here. Actually, I think one person has lifted ours. It's 177.6 pounds. So it's like right on 80 kilos. It's a little bit overweight, a little heavy.
Just presents a different challenge, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I've gotten a little tiny bit of air under it. Adam's gotten a little tiny bit of air under it with good tilts, but not much more than that. You know, it'll be a while before we really break it up. Yeah, it's fun.
Well,
It's a fun challenge
wish
though,
you the
for
best
sure.
of luck.
What's that?
I wish you the best of luck.
Oh yeah, it's coming. You know, you can't order an inch dumbbell and have it be a paperweight. You have to get it up off the ground.
Oh yeah, there's a reason you order it. I mean, if you can lift it already, then you can go with something bigger.
Yeah,
Something to
exactly.
build on.
Yeah, that was exactly my thought. Was like, do you get a baby inch because you can lift it already and get stronger, or do you just like get an inch and just work your butt off till you can lift it? I figured the latter was better. Seems to be what most people do. Baby inches didn't exist back in the day anyway.
Yeah.
Now you got them everywhere.
A lot more of them, that's for sure. It's kind of cool though that you can order inches a lot easier than you could. For a while there, it was almost impossible.
Yeah, we had looked at possibly making one. Guy in Martinsburg does a little bit of work with them, and we were going to reach out to him, but we ended up finding one.
Yeah. Yeah, we make them with Atlas stones. Some guys around here make them with Atlas stones, and that's kind of cool. So it winds up being giant because they're 12-inch globes.
Be like
Yeah,
a
they're
circus
fantastic
dumbbell.
looking. Yeah, pretty much. But it's all, you know, one welded piece. It's not like shot loaded, so it works really well. Feels like an
Nice.
inch, rolls like an inch, you know. That's the problem with the circus dumbbell, especially the shot loaded ones, is all the shot just moves in there, so it's nowhere near the same thing. Yeah. So what's your current goal in grip or just athletics?
Well, I placed second once I dropped down to 90 kilograms. So my current goal is to try to go for get that first win. I got to see one of my good friends do it last month. I guess back in February.
And it felt really good to see him do it. And
I want to taste that. I want to feel what it feels like. So looking to do that at the end of this month at Spring Squeeze.
So you'll be competing at 90 kilos?
Yes, sir.
That's a
Yeah,
great
it's
weight class for grip.
yeah, it's definitely a little more friendly to me, being new to it. So I
Yeah.
was only a few pounds from it and decided I'd drop down and try to compete at this level.
Nice. Yeah. 80 and 90 kilos, they're not too super contested. Once you get to 100 kilos, it's just ridiculous. There's monsters in that class.
Yeah, it explodes real quickly right around there.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been in the 100-kilo class because I'm still working on getting my squat and deadlift up like to where I want to get my deadlift up above 500 so that it's easy to lift 300 on the axle more routinely.
that's what I've been working on since February is my deadlifts. Done a little bit. I still haven't got over 400.
But I'm getting closer and closer. So that'll
Yeah.
be that's my current goal.
Yeah, I find that I'll keep the weight on until my strength gets high enough, and then I'll slowly take the weight down and try to keep my strength up. So we'll see how that works. Yeah, you got to have some kind of a plan, and at least with this plan, I get to eat more.
Yeah, that's been the downside of getting into the 90 is I don't eat as much as I used to, and I love to eat.
Yeah, exactly. So I figure I'll eventually, once I'm strong enough, then I'll be motivated to like cut the food out a little bit, like cut the eating as much out. I'll be like, all right, I'm strong. So I guess I have something to work toward now.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of guys here recently go from about the
110, 120
kilogram, and they're dropping down to about the 90. And I don't
Yeah.
know if that's a trend coming but I think one of the guys I'll be looking at in 2 weeks is one of those he's got an impressive lift as is, but he's dropping down to the 90. So I think we're going to go head to head in a couple weeks.
Well, I think everybody put on some COVID weight. So, you know, sit in the house doing not a whole lot, everything closed up. So I think everybody's going to wind up trying to get in a little bit better shape and see where weight division they can fall into, especially as grip is growing. It's going to get more competitive and people are going to really, you know, start putting effort into it. I think that's pretty darn cool.
Oh yeah. With striving to get this first victory, first place, I don't want it given. I want to earn it. So welcome everybody to keep coming.
Yeah,
Keeps me
absolutely. Man.
striving.
For sure. I have yet to win one of my own potato trophies. I won one of our other local grip contests, but every hot grip contest I host, someone shows up and beats me. You
Oh
know,
no.
it's ridiculous. Yeah, we have some really strong dudes in our area. So guys that haven't done grip, but they just have like 700-pound deadlifts or whatever, and they just randomly show up for the grip competition.
That's how it was the last month. We had a guy that never done it before, signed up to see what it was all about, and he just, I mean, had incredible grip.
Yeah.
I'm saying have like
So close that time, but I enjoyed getting second. I enjoyed talking with him.
it's amazing. You know, you look at them as competitors when you're competing, and then
They're like your best friends afterwards. So that's
Yeah.
probably been the best part about getting into this.
Yeah, exactly. It's a really good, friendly sport. People are stoked if people beat each other. I think that's cool. And just stoked at seeing people pull off neat feats. I think that's awesome.
Oh yeah. I was so mad that I ended up missing the Arnold this year due to my current employment, and turned out I could have went, but I didn't know until last minute and was missed it. But there were so many amazing feats there. Uh, I would have loved to have seen them firsthand.
Yeah, absolutely. That would have been fantastic, man. Yeah, I watched it. I watched the live stream of it. It was a great event. They put on a heck of a show. A lot of people looked like they were really interested. That was cool. It was cool to see Ode hit a big PR. Some of the lifts were fantastic. Carl's gigantic axle lifts, just insane stuff. It was awesome to see.
Yeah, you think Ode's kind of like hit all there is to hit, and then he comes out and does it again. It's man's incredible. It's kind of hard, and whenever I saw that he was going to be coming up before me and him and Ricardo, and I'm like, I got to go on with an interview after Ricardo and Ode. This is great.
Well, you know, we've interviewed all kinds of people from like Jen Tibbenham is basically like the founder of Strong Woman Sport, or one of the, you know, freaking very early legends in the sport, to like Adam Glass, who's way up at the very top of grip sport, you know, winning world championships and whatnot. So, I mean, we've interviewed people like that, and we've interviewed people that are just getting into it. It's just a matter of if, you know, you have it, you know, if you have an interest for grip, we're actually going to be changing our interviews to grips specific ones starting at like number 50. I think this is number 48. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, right
So we
on.
have
Glad to get in
the
a
next
little
guy we're
early.
interviewing. Actually, he's like martial artist and like an Indian club expert and like a national coach, which is kind of neat. So he's going to have some interesting advice for sure. So, but after that, we're going to get a little more focused on the grip interviews, because that's kind of where our whole channel has sort of geared itself, just because me and my brother, you know, we wanted to find something to do that we could do that wouldn't kill us. And grip was a good choice. Everything else will kick your butt a whole lot. So, especially as you get old. I mean, as you can see, like we talked about Ode competing, it's kind of neat to think that like the youngest guy in his group was 19 and the oldest guy was him at like 72 or 70. I think he's 72.
I
That's
believe
just
72,
incredible.
yeah. And that's one thing I've enjoyed as well, seeing the age variation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just there's so many different age groups that are out and competing, and so it's interesting to see those that are in their 50s and 60s coming out, and it's their first time getting into it, and they're looking at, you know, well, I'd say myself, but I'm only 32, but looking at some younger guys and taking tips, and they're passing on their powerlifting experience and techniques to us, and we're passing on our grip tips to them. It's been a very uh, humble experience. So
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. We have a like a couple strongmen in our area that are getting towards the end of like their strongman career, and we've talked to them about getting into grip, and you know, just because they've done like static farmer holds like, you know, their entire career, their grip is monstrous.
yeah, I'm looking to possibly compete in the strongman at some point. So I
Yeah.
have a guy talking to me about that, and I'm talking to him about grip, and we go out and we lift Atlas stones, and he makes it look like a piece of cake. And I get up there and I'm like, okay, how did you do this again? Because I'm struggling to get one up, but it's interesting when we go to the grip, he's lifting the same weight I am,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
he's got a good 60 to 80 pounds on me.
Yep. Yeah, grip's a neat thing in that way.
Yeah,
Doesn't really matter if
absolutely
you're
love it.
huge. It's not size specific. It's just specialized training. But yeah, Atlas stones are a hoot, man. We made some of those when we first started our gym. I think that was the first thing we did, was make a set of Atlas stones. And because we just wanted to play around with getting stronger, and we figured strongman stuff would be fun. And it is. It's fun to train with that stuff.
Oh, I've loved it. The first time I got to shoulder a stone, there was no better feeling in the world with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I still have a 297 pound stone that I haven't messed with too much yet. So I've got goals.
It's coming. You got, baby steps.
Yep, absolutely. I got to play with tacky at one of my friends' gyms not too long ago, and that helps you get up the stones a little easier.
Yeah, I think I did 210. This was the stone I lifted with tacky, and it's a whole new experience.
Yeah,
They
for
call it
sure.
tacky for a reason.
Yep, exactly. I think without tacky though, it helps the wrist quite a bit for
Yeah,
like grip strength. Honestly, I like lifting it without tacky because the way you have to dig your hands into there, the way it has to rest in your against pulling your wrist that way, seems to make your wrist quite strong. The rock carries seem to help a lot with wrist too, like natural stone carries, just walking with them, holding them, because you got to grab them in the weirdest positions. So your wrist is going to be in some awkward, crazy position you wouldn't normally have it in to hold the weight, and then you just have to hold the weight like that. So it's going to get you stronger.
yeah. I'm planning on jumping in with a little bit of that. Now that it's getting warmer, Virginia, you go from snow one week to 70 degrees the next week, and I think it's going to stick around 70. Though I might be able to get out and do a little bit of natural stone lifts. And then as far as my gym that I go to now, they don't allow tacky. So lifting the
Oh
Atlas
yeah, of
stones
course.
there, it's definitely a whole new experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think many gyms would allow tacky. That stuff's pretty gnarly.
I'm surprised at how many around here do, but I'm
Yeah.
learning we have a couple powerlifting gyms in the area. So
Well, that's cool. Yeah, we have I think we have like one in our area that's powerlifting specific, or no, we have a couple powerlifting ones, but only like one real strongman gym, like locally. Yeah. So but there's quite a number of gyms in our area. I mean, it rains all the time here. So
uh,
how else are you gonna train?
we, yeah, we get a lot of CrossFit guys, and
Yep.
it's not for me.
CrossFit guys have good grip though. We've well, some of them like OCR, obstacle course racing, Spartan type guys that do that stuff as well, especially the obstacle course racing guys. They wind up with some good grip. Yeah,
As soon as I
especially
get
on
some
like,
cardio, maybe.
yeah. No, I wouldn't do their sport, but it's fun to see them like cross over and try out what we do. Yeah, we
Yeah,
have a whole group of a whole grip group of guys that are actually more obstacle course racing specific, but a couple of them are like speed climbers and other things that just have, established them to have super crazy grip strength. And yeah, they're quite good on certain implements for sure, especially like the vertical poles, because they do so many like swings on the poles and move their bodies along the poles so much. They wind up being pretty strong with that one.
that's something Jay's trying to get me into is climbing. We
Yeah.
found a couple gyms nearby. I think I'm going to try to line up a weekend that we can both go, and I'm going to try to give it a shot.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great idea if you're going to do lightweight grip for sure. It seems like most of the top records are held by climbers at a certain weight class and below. Like
Yeah,
even if you look at like Tanner Merkel, I mean, he was a former climber and he's even competing in the 110 kilo sometimes or something like that, above 100 kilo.
mm.
Yeah, he's done
Tanner
one
is.
or two contests like that.
I'm telling you, I don't think that man's human, but
Yeah, it's probably true. But I mean, Joe Hodgson, same thing. He's, up
yeah,
around 100 kilos from Australia, and he used to be a climber. So up to a certain size, I think climbing makes the world of difference. Once you get into the super heavyweights, obviously nobody's gonna really have too much of a climbing background, but it seems to be there's a correlation between grip and climbing, obviously.
yeah, it's definitely there. One of the guys that actually went to the Arnold this year, he started with me back in November, and we actually worked together. Vincent C, and he just had a huge climbing background, and I was like, well, if I'm going to do this, you got to come do it too. And he actually went out and got an invite to the Arnold. I think he comes in about 135 pounds, so he's just a little guy, but he has tremendous grip.
Yeah, that's a weight class where that's really tough. I'd imagine that weight class is pretty darn tough when you get down there. And those guys, I know, like Yeah, there's a few smaller guys, Jerome Bloom, that's like just insane on the smaller implements, and those guys can just deal out some serious pound for pound grip strength. Yeah, I like watching like them do like freaking rafter pull-ups and crazy stuff like that. It's just impressive as hell.
Those that's where I'm wanting to see more guys get in. Some of these lighter weight guys come into the sport because, well, just at their size, they're lifting just as much as some of these big guys. So it'd be interesting to see more come into the sport.
For sure, absolutely. So training with some pretty smart dudes that have been in grip for a long time. Have you stumbled on any good techniques that you would like to share with everybody that you think have helped you gain your grip quite quickly?
Would say probably using resistance bands to train
Uh-huh.
my wrists. I know I'm suffering a wrist injury at the moment, but it's definitely helped with my recovery. Would be putting tension on them and then just essentially rolling your wrist back. And then, of course, I'm already sitting here playing with the tennis ball the whole time. Squeezing the tennis ball has been a pretty good for helping my grip as well.
Yeah, awesome. I play with the extensioner bands quite a bit, like just fooling around watching TV. Just I found that some of the really strong grip guys have insane extensioners. They can put like two of the Iron Mine Reds on top of each other to still open them up. And
I'm almost got the Reds open. I haven't done it fully, but when I'm at work, I'm a trainer at my job now, and I'll just slip them on and start walking around. Guys will ask, "Hey, what are you doing?" So hoping to get them interested in it as well. But yeah, definitely anytime I get a chance, I do the extensor bands, squeezing the tennis ball, and then when I'm at the gym, finishing up usually by working my wrists with the resistance bands.
nice. Yeah, you go through the extensor bands pretty quick moving up to the red one. Doesn't
Mhm.
take very long to get there. It's surprising how like underused those muscles are.
Yeah. With the resistance bands, that was actually one of the tips that Chad gave me back whenever I started doing this in November. He's like, man, you could be one of the biggest guys out there, but if you don't have the wrist strength to lift it, he's like, it's going nowhere.
Exactly.
So took it kind of heart.
Yeah, you notice a lot of the top guys are doing wrist curls with big 45-pound plates. I mean, Hole does it, Adam Glass does it. There's a reason why.
Yeah. I was a little hesitant at first because I had surgery about 9 years ago now. I had a cyst removed from my wrist, and it's always given me a little bit of trouble since then. Uh, but I've noticed since I've gotten into grip that my strength in my wrists have improved and don't really have as much trouble as I used to. And it's only been a couple. I mean, we're looking at about 6 months that I've been doing it now. So anyone out there that would be, recovering from an injury, grip might be something for them.
Oh yeah, for sure. If you like even just search carpal tunnel on or surgery or whatever on grip board, you'll find quite a number of threads about people that have had like carpal tunnel surgery and then came back using grip and got stronger than they were before. It's
Yeah.
impressive what you can do with your dedication. Your hands can get ridiculously strong.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate the tip, and it's paid off for me. So anyone out there that's trying it, best of luck.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you think is the most important piece of equipment in your home gym?
Uh, my home gym would
Or
probably
just your
be,
gym in general, but typically we focus on home gym.
oh, it would definitely be my loading pin. Once I got my loading pin and a couple implements, I'm messing around with them here at the house. I have 3 kids that I'm trying to get them interested in it as well. So I would definitely say a loading pin with different implements.
Nice. Yeah, I think that was what we started with, was just a loading pin when it came to grip. Loading pin and I think a block made out of like 4x4.
Yeah. Working in a book company, I used a couple of things that we had laying around. That one thing that resembled a hub, and kind of just took a couple washers and a hook and welded them together, and then a couple of the boards that we used and made them about 3 inches wide and started using those with some zip ties. And that's till I started buying implements. That's what I used.
There you go. It doesn't take much. That's how
Yep.
we started it, was showing everybody like our homemade stuff that we did. Saved a ton of money by doing that, and then slowly started buying the actual legit equipment.
Yeah, it's sad that some of the stuff I made was a little easier to use than some of the Iron Mind stuff I've got, but you got to work your way up, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. We hit something like 200 pounds on our wooden version of our flask. It was nice and
But
grippy.
then you go ahead and get the real thing, and it's like just humbling.
Yeah, it knocks off 25% of your weight, right? Boom, right off the bat.
So, yeah, that's definitely been a learning curve there. You feel good about what you're doing until you get on the actual implement and realize you got a little ways to go.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of technique to learn to it for sure as well. And I think that just comes with time. Like I've gotten a little bit stronger and a lot more technical is what I would say about like my grip. Like my numbers have improved quite a bit. Like I think my Saxon was like, I don't know, 120 when I started, and I'm at about 160 something now. A little over, I think I have my max at 166, it looks like now on my Saxon. So I could probably hit like close to 170. I haven't maxed on it in a while. I'd probably try for 170 next time. But like honestly, moving up the last 15 pounds has been like, oh, I talked to these guys that are really good pinch experts, and they told me to roll my thumb when I do it and cock my wrist a certain way and lock my arms a certain way. And I got 10 more pounds off that. And it's like technique is, quite a bit in the grip world for sure.
Yeah, and it's great that everybody kind of throws it out there for free, because there's a lot of sports where people just they don't want to give out their technique. They don't want to give
Yeah.
out their little tips. And I thought that was the same with this sport. And my first competition definitely set the record straight that these guys, if you ask, are more than willing to share what they know with you. And that's been an amazing experience.
Yeah, some of the secrets were a little tough for us to dig out of people. Like honestly, that's kind of why we started the podcast. But like getting someone to actually tell you the secrets on how to like tear a deck of cards, that is something that a lot of people made money off of for a long time. And that traveling strongman sort of like doesn't really exist as much anymore. I mean, I think it still will always, like as a novelty thing, but
Yeah.
at the same time, they don't need to really guard their secrets anymore. If somebody else knows how to tear cards, it's not really a big deal.
Yeah,
So
I've given a shot to the tearing decks. Jay got me started in on it probably about 3 or 4 months ago, and ordered some offline, thing of Maverick cards, and like, man, I just can't get it. And he's like, well, Maverick are some of the hardest cards to tear. You might want to
they're
start a
pretty
little
tough, yeah.
lower. But
Yeah.
once you start getting into it, it's hard to get out.
Exactly. I think once I started with the classics, which were a really cheap deck, and I think I tore a half deck once I got the technique right. Once I talked to people and they showed me, and once I blew through a half deck, it was just adding cards until I got to a full deck, and took maybe like 2 weeks.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's a feat that is extremely focused on technique. Like honestly, there is a groove with that feat that once you find it, it just becomes a totally different feat, an entire different world. And I think double overhand bending is like that as well.
Yeah,
Have you
watch
gotten to,
the. Go ahead.
have you gotten to try any steel bending?
Not yet. I didn't realize that Devin Hoover had kind of started following me on Instagram, and I'm going to try to reach out and talk to him. I watched his interview with you all as well, and he seems like a very down to earth person. So I kind of want to message him and try to get into some steel bending.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. He swung by our place when he happened to be working in Portland. He stopped by and bent some steel and showed us some techniques, and did some pinch lifting and took off. lifted our couch potato strong dumbbell, and it was over here for maybe like an hour or an hour and a half or something. But yeah, it just blew by like late at night one day. It was really cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm hope. Didn't realize that him and Jay kind of messaged back and forth about Jay about grip tips and wanting to know about steel, and he sends them steel tips in exchange for grip tips. So I think I'm going to try to start doing the same.
Absolutely, yeah. When I first got into grip, it was always like part of it. You had to try out steel bending. If you're going to be interviewing people, you should probably try all the aspects of grip to at least know what you're talking about when you do this stuff. So when we got into steel bending, I sucked at it, man. I was bending all wrong. And then a couple people gave me these tips, and there was one tip that just clicked in my mind, and I went from like, you know, doing decent at like blues and yellow nails to like smashing, you know, I bent like a red nail equivalent like pretty quickly after, and then bent a modern red nail like a few months after, just after learning the technique in double leathers, not like IMPs or anything. I didn't, you know, my hands probably aren't quite tough enough maybe, but like the technique for getting the power into it, I'm not even that strong of a person. Like honestly, my upper body's not like super strong or anything. But if you can get really flexible and you can get all your power in it and get all your weight like into a certain point on that bar, you realize you can be pretty damn strong if you have the right leverage. And that's a huge part of it with steel bending. But quickly after I learned the double over, and I realized like that wasn't going to help me too much with like grip specific stuff for grip sport, I learned there's really cool bends that like totally do help just build up your wrist, like bending like, you know, arms out like the Heslop style, or like the vertical style bends, which I don't know if you've seen that one. That's like a bend where you hold the bar like this and you bend it downward like this.
I've seen a few videos. Yeah.
Yeah, that one really works your wrists in a good way. You can feel the burn, and it makes your grip a decent amount stronger, because strong wrist is strong grip, as we talked about.
Yeah. I'm looking to do frying pans. One of the
Oh, that's
guys from the
cool.
last
Hell yeah.
competition does frying pans, and he was like telling me to go to a dollar store and get a couple of those before I move up to some name brands. So
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen many guys like taco them, but actually like getting a good roll on one, boy, you have to
yeah.
have good fingers, man. Real strong fingers to do that. That's a cool feat.
Well, I'm hoping to get a couple of them done.
Yeah, we have a guy locally that does it, Ox Strongman. You might see
Mhm.
him like comment on our stuff or like our post or whatever. So yeah, follow him, Ox Strongman. But he was at an event we did recently, and he was rolling frying pans for kids that were walking around and whatever, and he was just rolling them and giving them to them. They're whoa, cool. Yeah, he's done some really big bends. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of guys out there to get really good advice from in bending for sure. Yeah, absolutely. So are you going to specifically focus on arm lifting lifts, or are you going to do the other aspects of grip as well?
I'm not sure. Kind of just
Mhm.
branching out as it goes. Anything that piques my interest, I'm giving a shot. Uh, Open to everything pretty much at this point. Was going to do a powerlifting event here next weekend, but it didn't work out with my schedule. Uh, so keeping an eye out open for one that'll be good to just kind of jump in, test the waters with. So
Yeah, I think that's super smart. I think you see guys that go into grip and they don't work other things, and they wind up getting a grip that hurts their body almost.
yeah,
And it's wild to think that you can get like that. You can get where your grip's strong enough to where you can hurt your back because your grip's stronger than your back.
yeah, that's what I was told. Not necessarily just in that lines, but that I needed to start focusing more on my deadlifts uh, to improve my technique and going forward with grip strength, because definitely want to get a record with the Saxon bar. And so that's what I've been kind of focusing on the last 2 months or so, is to just go ahead and strengthen up my back and get ready for some heavier lifts.
Yeah, absolutely. Saxon bar is a great one to get started with for sure, because it's like one of the lower ones. So as you can deadlift like almost, 400 pounds, you said Saxon bar is not going to be a heavy lift at all.
Yeah.
You can train it all the time, basically. As long as your hands keep up, you can train it all the time.
Do it while I can.
Exactly. So that's what I always warm up with Saxon bar before I do deadlifts on a straight bar, because I know that the straight bar deadlifts isn't going to be as high as like my trap bar deadlifts. And then I'll do the 2-inch Saxon before I do like my trap bar deadlifts, because a bigger warm up is heavier.
Yeah, I try to do about the same. I noticed that if I go from a regular deadlift over to the Saxon, I have nothing left.
Yeah. Yeah. Pinch doesn't seem to kill too much. I've noticed in the grip, like in your grip in general, like your crushing grip, but the opposite way around, you can't do like a whole lot of fat bar work and expect to be like holding up for anything after that, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no fat bar training in my current program with my grippers. It's all just grippers and pinch training mostly.
I mix in, I believe it's an arm assassin axle bar
Okay.
from time to time. Uh, Still haven't got past 250 with one, but I'm confident I will by the end of the year. So,
That's a 2-inch axle.
yeah,
Yeah, that's 250 on a 2-inch axle is a pretty good number. Absolutely.
no thanks.
Yeah, I think we started out. I started out at like, I don't know, 210 pounds maybe. Took me quite a while to hit 250. Took me a long time to hit 300, like a year and a half. So get there slowly. Whatever. I don't know what, I don't even know what I would do now, honestly. I imagine it's dropped a little bit as I haven't done it. I've been working on grippers, but whatever. When I get back at it, it'll go back up.
No, might have
I
already
just,
went back up. You don't know.
yep. I just got a cheap Titan axle, like the $60 axle, and just sanded it down, made it raw, and it's as close to an Iron Mind one as I could get for the cheap price I wanted to pay.
That's what you got to do.
Absolutely. So, what advice do you have for people at home that are trying to get into strength sports or trying to get into grip? What have you learned so far, or what would you like to tell people that are thinking about jumping into it?
I would say don't hesitate. If you're nervous about heading to the gym, don't be. A lot of the videos, negative videos you see online, uh, there's not that many people. The people you meet at the gym nowadays they're really outgoing, very nice people that I was hesitant about going myself. I mean, started with a certain gym that does the no gym intimidation, and
Mm.
now I go to a regular gym that I probably would never have went to a couple years back had I not got into grip sports. And everybody I've met has been amazing, just completely nice and willing to help where need be. And it's been an experience that for myself, I have a little bit of anxiety. So anyone that might have the same, don't be afraid to get out and go to the gym. It's not that not kind of what it's portrayed to be online. That's for certain.
Yeah, I think the no intimidation thing at gyms is kind of weird because honestly, like that's really not what goes on at gyms that don't have that policy. It's not like everybody's
Yeah,
walking around intimidating each other. That's not at all what's happening. It's just people that are trying with a little bit more effort, that are just putting a little more into it, and they may have to get loud to do that or psyched up a little bit in order to do that. But if you want to like legitimately get stronger, don't you sort of have to get out of your comfort zone?
yeah. And once you kind of get to that level, it's amazing because you realize that the people around you are wanting to see that. They're wanting to, see you lift better or do better. And you kind of want to see it for them as well. So uh, that's been probably the biggest thing I've taken away is that this world isn't what I thought it was. And, you kind of see guys that are huge and big and you get this idea in your head that they're not approachable, but it's actually quite opposite. They love being approached. They love talking with people, especially if you're new in it. They're very much approachable and love sharing what they have. So
Yeah, absolutely. I almost find that that's more the case at the gyms that don't have the no intimidation policy than it is the ones that do kind of have that policy. It's almost like at those gyms, everybody does their own thing. And at the other
mhm.
gyms, it's sort of like everybody works together and watches each other and, is actually there to help each other, like, reach their goals.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed the atmosphere is different at my new gym. Uh, at the other one with the no intimidation, it's like people are afraid to even make eye contact with you. And that felt more intimidating than going somewhere where I'm, lifting implements that you don't see every day at a normal gym. And people will walk up and, what are you doing? And I love sharing with them and inviting them to try it out.
Yeah, absolutely. I say the same exact thing, man. Just jump into grip, give it a shot, have some fun with it. You never know what you'll be able to do.
Yep,
Hands are wildly different, and chances are you're naturally good at something in grip and you don't even know it already.
that is the truth. Yeah. Uh, I met a guy, we were talking about the grippers and closing a two. Uh, I met a guy that can close my three, and he's never done anything like this in his life. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, man, I can't even begin to close a three. And he's never picked one up and closed it instantly.
That's really rare. Yeah, that's really
Very.
strong, really rare. That's insane. Yeah, he must be a very strong dude.
Yeah, he just said that working with casework pretty much his entire life. Must have done something for his grip, but it whatever he's done, it's worked.
That's incredible. Closing a 3 the first time you touch him, that's crazy, man. I've heard a few stories about it, but that's rare. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely had me checking to make sure he didn't like break it or do something to it. But no, I still couldn't close it, but he
Yeah,
closed
double
it
checking the
immediately.
number on the bottom of it. Did I give you the 3?
Yeah, it was definitely amazing to witness, especially whenever you look into it and you realize just how rare it is for someone to pick one up and be able to close it, and they've been training and they still can't. And
Yeah.
somebody to pick it up that has never touched one and they just close it instantly.
Yeah, for some people, also they can train for 2 or 3, 4 years and get it, and some people it takes them 10, 15 years to finally get it. It's definitely an incredibly tough feat. It's quite rare. It's one of the rarer grip feats, I would say, for sure.
No, I'm sure you'll have it before too long.
Yep, I'll get there eventually. It was neat to see, like I said, people in our group have done some amazing things first time out. We had a guy that lifted the freaking blob in the inch his first time touching him. Yeah,
And
his
just makes you
handle
shake
is
your head, right?
his handle's Beefy Gordita on Instagram. But yeah, in his first grip contest, he lifted the inch to a height of I think like 36 or 37 inches or 31. It was above 30 inches. Very first grip contest.
Man,
But he's a large dude with some really big, strong mitts. So hand size definitely makes a difference when it comes to the inch and rolling handles for sure. I can tell you that because I happened to set up a grip booth right next to a booth that had Antonio Harvey, who's an NBA player. He's like 7 foot tall, 6'11", something like that. Hands that are just absurd. He was lifting like 170 pounds, 180 pounds on my rolling thunder, like, and holding it and like telling me, "Oh yeah, I feel like it's about to slip. I see why you grip guys say this is pretty tough." As his like hand is he's literally wrapping his thumb over the entire like fingernail of his middle finger while gripping the rolling thunder. I mean, yeah, there's some aspects of grip where hand size is gonna, just trump everything, especially when you're like that.
Yeah, I'm watching that now that I have like I don't really have the biggest hands there are. I have very small hands for my size, but yeah, I've noticed the larger their hands, the easier they have it.
But then again, like some of those guys really struggle with a gripper, or they'll really struggle
Oh
with some
yeah,
of the smaller
that's true.
implements. So I think there's like a balance. And if you find out in grip, I think the thing is, most people aren't going to be good at it all. It's pretty rare. You have to have a pretty specific, like, good set of mitts that are sort of like they stay thin, but they get sinewy. They don't get too fat. Like the thumb pad doesn't get too fat. They don't get too like blown up. They stay fairly sinewy. They're like 8.5 inches long ish. Those guys seem to really rock pretty much almost everything in grip. But I think as you train more into it, you find what you specialize in and what's really good for like your sort of build. And it's almost like a hand build for the sport. You know what I mean? I think we're going to learn more about as people, get into it more and people are more sport specific or sport focused on it as the sport continues to grow, or at least we hope. I think we're going to see more of training based on certain hand builds or hand structures. I don't know. That's where I see it going maybe in the future. Have you thought about like where you possibly see anything changing in grip sport in the future from what you've just noticed as you started getting into it, competing and seeing things happening?
Like you just said, I mean, I've seen a lot of smaller ones. One of the first things I competed with was an anvil stub. And
oh, that's a tough one, man. That's the little tiny sucker on top of the like plate, right? And you just it's like
just a little pin.
Yeah, like a 1/4 inch wide or something and like a 1/2 inch tall, maybe. Yeah, that thing's brutal.
Yeah, I'd love to see those in more competitions. I'm not sure if they still make them. But I loved that was in this event because it definitely watching these big guys drop out around 20 pounds and I'm going up to 30 was definitely a good feeling for me.
I think the finished ball at last year's King Kong was a real shaker up like that.
That's probably going to be my next implement that I order, is going to be a
Yeah.
finish ball.
Yeah, because I mean, it's not, that's a real very specific, strength. And it's not the biggest guys that rock the finish ball or have the biggest and strongest hands. It's guys that, have a really good technique and that real good thumb squeeze.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's a
That's
good
where
one.
I'm looking to excel. Well, looks where I do excel in the sport, but I'm looking to grow out of it. So get a little bit more rounded.
How is your so you like the key pinch or the full hand pinch more?
I would probably say the full hand, just because it's something that forces me to uh, train harder, I guess.
Mhm.
Something
Yeah,
I'm
for
not used
sure.
to. So I got to put a little bit more effort into it, and I'm enjoying growing with that. Uh, yeah, I'd say it would definitely be that.
Yeah, I think Ode sort of said the same thing when he said that, man, on the Saxon bar, it sort of lights up everything. You have to put everything in your body into that Saxon bar. And I think he's
Oh, you do?
absolutely right, man. You can't just squeeze it. You got to squeeze everything.
That's something that I've trained for a while. Well, since November,
Mhm.
and still put it down some days, and my forearms are just burning up. And yeah, I definitely like the feeling you get whenever you get a heavy lift on a Saxon.
Absolutely. So, do you have any last minute words or any other advice you would like to give to the people out there that could be watching this?
Don't be afraid to try. I mean, even if you're curious, come out to an event, come out to your local gym, and if you see somebody, doing these types of lifts, don't be afraid to ask them what they're doing, and if you can give it a shot. I think a couple of people that we've talked to, when they ask, they're a little afraid to try it out, but don't be. I mean, it's definitely fun. It can be very addicting.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for joining us.
Yeah,
We're
thank you
obviously
all
going to
for
be getting
having me.
some potatoes out to you soon. So we're looking forward to seeing what you do with that. We're going to start highlighting a couple of the pinch lifts. See, Shogun of Grip. Yeah, Dustin. He recently did like 128-pound one hand pinch lift. So I think that's the standard right now. The
Okay.
heaviest one, tough one to beat. I've done on the pink potatoes like a little over 100, actually like 119 or something close to that. On the golden potato, which is quite a bit slicker, I don't know if I've cracked 100 on the pinch lift. It's a one hand 100-pound pinch lift is pretty absurd on no matter any implement that you're doing. So
Hmm.
yeah, it'll be neat to
Well,
see what people do on it.
I look forward to posting videos of what I get.
Awesome. We look forward to seeing them.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, you have a nice rest of your day.
Thank you. You all as well, man.
Take care.
See ya.